So let's talk about balance. One of my favorite things about yoga is how there's a progression for everything. When you might see somebody in a picture come in and do something like this, and you might say, I could never do that. That was me a couple years ago. Slowly through the progression, I've worked my way into being able to do it. And so let's look at what that progression looks like. For balance, if you're a brand new beginner, even include a chair here, a handrail, something for additional support. Level 1, all we're doing is lifting our heel. I now have 10% of the weight in the toe, 90% of the weight in what will become the balance foot. So here we are, level 1, balance, 90% of the weight, left foot, 10% right. Level 2, we just lift the toe an inch. And it took me some time to figure out how to be comfortable standing tall with the toe lifted. Level 3 has us drawing the thigh up into a standing knee lift. Here we have our standing knee lift, thigh is parallel to the ground. Now we can build onto this. Once standing knee lift is available to us, there's a couple places we can go. One, left hand comes outside right thigh, and we open up and add some rotation into the standing knee lift. Beyond that, we can send a hand back, okay? So here, level 4. Now, level 5, we're gonna start working our hand toward the foot. Level 5 is just reaching, trying to get a tap on the foot, and we can be doing this with either hand. Where I'm going today, I'm going to be doing it with my left hand. Eventually, we're working toward what's called a bind. And so level 6 is when we actually get the bind with the foot. Then we start to play moving forward. Once we've got the bind, we're now in this progression where ultimately we're working toward here. Now, this took me several years to go through, and there will be levels beyond this that at some point I will get to. The point here is to demonstrate a progression to let you know that no matter what the pose is in yoga, balance poses, flexibility, arm balances, handstands, whatever it is, there's a progression to get there. And one of the joys of yoga is that there's just always another way to improve. I think of it like a video game. And in a video game, you have a character and you're leveling up the different attributes of the character. In yoga, we are the character. And so we're leveling up flexibility, balance, strength, awareness. And here is one example of that. Now, let's look at other places that we can go. From a standing knee lift, very traditional posture, is now coming toward a bind with the same hand as the foot, and then reaching out and developing toward this. Very great pose. Couple things to note here. I'm standing tall. I feel energy from my left heel all the way up through a very active left glute. My glute is turned on. I'm standing up tall. So it's a connected pose. There's no slack within the pose. Also, I have a fixed gaze. In yoga, gaze is called drishti. And we set a drishti, usually about 6 feet at the ground in front of us, depending on the pose. And stable gaze leads to a stable pose. Now, once we establish the pose, we're looking for the peace in it. Relaxing into the pose, finding tension that's not necessary. Slowing down the breath. When we come out, we want to do so mindfully, in control, proving that control, hovering the foot an inch above the ground, and choosing to place it down on the mat. Oftentimes I'll pedal to the left a little, pedal to the right a little, pedaling left. And so those are a couple different sequences that we can work on, a couple different progressions to improve our balance. Another progression that I really like to teach is the progression toward what's called Parsvakonasana, which is extended side angle pose. We start in a warrior 2. So once we have a nice warrior 2 base, we've got our hands out, front knees over the heel, back hip is opening. We're gazing through the middle finger of the front hand. The base is stretching the mat, active base so that we can be soft through the wrists. From here, the hands are light. Now to enter the side angle, left elbow comes forward, inside left thigh, right shoulder stacks on top of left. Left hand might open like this, right hand might lift, just a couple options. We can take wrist circles, we can do windmills. Several ways to play at the beginning of our side angle. The progression from here is going to involve a block. So we set the block at the highest level. Blocks have 3 levels: low, medium, high. Starting at the highest level, for our side angle, we have elbow at thigh, we're just lowering, and we want to put weight into the block. Once we can put weight into the block, we're then ready to go to the next level. Once we can put weight into the block here, we're ready to go to the next level. Now, this might be 2 years to get from the modified down to the lowest level of the block. Another year or two into the practice, we might be removing the block, and now we're working fingertip, fist, palm to the mat. Once we get the palm to the mat, we're now putting weight into that. Options here, elevated hand is going to reach forward. Now, as this hand reaches forward, what we want to do is feel a connection from the middle finger of our right hand reaching this way through the outer edge of the rear foot. So outer edge, right foot, all the way through middle finger of right hand. This becomes a very, very active position. So another thing that's important here is that when we're here, we can take side angle as a fairly relaxing pose. We can take this as can almost be a rest. We can take it as a very active pose. And you have your finger on the dial. What we want to teach here is all the different ways for you to choose the practice that you want. If you want a rigorous, vigorous, active practice, that's available to you. If you're looking for something lighter, softer, more flowing, that's available to you. One thing to note, the tendency here is for the top shoulder to want to close, to cave downward. And in the side angle, we want to keep the top shoulder stacked. So as you start to go lower, if you notice the top shoulder sinking, stay up. I'd rather you keep the torso open so that we have the right posture through the torso. This is primary, and only go lower as it becomes available. Additional thoughts as it relates to postures that involve flexibility. We don't push and pull. If we push and pull, we subject ourselves to the potential for injury. The goal here is not to do yoga for a couple weeks, months. The goal is to have yoga with us for decades. And in order to do so, we have to protect our joints. We have to be really healthy, aware, and loving. And so instead of pushing and pulling, what we're doing is using patience and awareness to allow space to open up for us. A great example of this is in the forward fold. The tendency for many people is to want to touch their toes, want to put their hands on the ground. And so you see lots of pulling. This subjects lower back injury, subjects us pulling hamstrings. We don't want any of that. If instead, as we relax and as we breathe, we start to have space opening up because we're not injecting tension into the pose. And when we remove that tension, the body lets go, the body releases. It gives us space that we continue to move into. And this is a very kind, loving way to develop flexibility that does not subject us to injury. And so that's one of the messages here, is that we work through the progressions. It's really important as they relate to flexibility that we're only moving into space that becomes available. So whether it is the balance pose that is demanding of flexibility, if this is where we are, don't push. Don't push, especially in an exposed posture like a balance pose. You can hurt yourself if you go too far. The same thing here. When you come into the side angle, if this is where we are, this is where we are. When this is where we are, this is where we are. And so just enjoy the progression. There's no rush because there's always another step. There's always another place that we're going to be able to go. So there is a progression for side angle. We looked at a progression for balance poses. So let's look at a couple of other places that we can take this. Balance poses are particularly fun. I love them. Let's say that we're getting into our warrior three. With the warrior three, keeping a slight bend in the standing knee so we don't risk hyperextension, one of the places that we can go is just developing the ability to come forward into our standing knee lift, at which point we have all the options we just looked at. And we can also then send that back to the warrior three. Warrior three, hands, hands, hands. We can take a bind. Warrior three can become a reverse half moon. If the ground is too low, use the block. Start with the block and then lower. Now, we can come from a warrior three very carefully to a half moon. This we want to take very, very slowly. Once we come to a half moon, options, we can start to play with the hands. Once we come to the half moon, options, we can start to play with that back leg. Notice the bend, getting a little quad stretch in. Maybe we come for a bind here. And so here are a couple ways that we can be playing from this half moon. We can then be transitioning slowly, in control, back to the warrior three, leg coming forward, standing knee lift, what we looked at before, option with the twist. And so these are all the different places that we can go with the practice. But you know what? It starts with tabletop, cow, cat, downward facing dog. These poses eventually are going to lead us toward a crow. Once we get a crow, we're going to take a one-legged crow. Then we're going to remove both legs. Okay? More progression. And what I really want you to take away from this is how much fun we can have with the practice of yoga. As you learn these progressions, you can map out your own progress, your own destinations of where you want to go. And that's what I'm hoping to share here today, are a couple of the different pathways for progress, a couple of the different ways that we can look forward to yoga a year from now, 2 years from now, 10, 20 years from now. Yoga is also a skill-based practice, and the skill components are really fun. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for playing. Let's keep yoga creative. Let's keep yoga fun. Let's keep yoga playful. I'll see you in the next video.